Peace, peace. What's good, everybody? It's okay. We'll give it a second for everybody to pop on. So sorry, the Patreon live was acting up on the signal. So we're going to pop here and talk about the energy for November from the new Living Soul Numerology system. And we'll have it up here for a while. And then, of course, we'll transfer this, live to the Patreon. So for those of you who are not on my Patreon, just go ahead and make sure you become a free member over there. You can just Google Patreon Living Soul, or you can go in the description that I have in there and click on that link and become a member. Okay. So if you out there, some of y'all let me know, give a heads up if you can hear me pretty clear. Let me know where you at. But we'll go ahead and get into this. All right. Ooh wee. So am I pretty clear, everybody? Okay. So we'll go ahead and tap in. So peace, everybody. I'm Satori Seals. As you know, we're going to tap in. I'm the Living Soul Guider. I'm a soul guider in the Living Soul Numerology system. And y'all know I do a variety of different things with energy body work, numerology, and, as a herbalist and everything. But what we're going to tap into right now is the energy that we are looking at based off of the numbers that's coming in November. And so somebody that's been following, definitely in the Patreon, it's been interesting. We went from September, which was more masculine based energy in that month, to October, which is more feminine energy. And now we're moving here into November, which is still into that, feminine energy. And so the reason I brought that up is because there's been a distinct shift in energetic emphasis these last 2 months, which is a good thing. And so now I want to kind of speak and make sense to everyday application to us, like what we're looking at in November, what's for us, what's it prompting us to do. And so one of the things in November, we know everything's in cycles. We know everything is moving. And so in the cycles, what's going on right now, everything in the cycles going on right now is actually moving into what we call the concentration house. And so the concentration house, which the 2 is taking position under the number 7, it is really emphasizing to really take focus on our relationships and our foundation. And so let y'all know that's been in the Patreon, on the Audio Soul Sanctuary, we have been focusing on a flourishing foundation, making sure our foundation reflects and serves as a template for what we desire to have operating and function in our lives. So interesting, moving into November, there is going to be an energetic emphasis on those things dealing with structures in different areas in our life. In other words, our foundation. So if our relationships are really productive, if they're efficient. So that one of the key words you want to think about for November is efficiency and consistency. Are the things in your life consistent that you want? Are the things that's very productive right now? It might look like it's productive right now, but is it efficient? And when we talk about efficiency, we're going to look at it from the law aspect of it. And so we're looking at, like, in the ability to get things done and to achieve things, but how much waste is coming from that? And then the waste is associated with it. Are you eliminating that waste so that way it's still not within inside your operation, inside your system, or weaved inside the relationships that you're operating in? Because if it is, then that waste, if it stacks up, right, it will clog up for like a visual thing, and it will begin to hinder and work against you. And so this month is really a peace, so this energy in November is really getting us to look and be like, is everything optimal? Is everything producing like it needs to? And then if it's not, am I able to recognize it, to identify it, so that way I can make sure that the waste or the things that's not efficient is not becoming a hindrance. And so this month is really about managing our resources, managing our relationships, managing our energy that we're putting into things. If I'm putting my energy over here, am I getting the just due output from it? Or is it unbalanced, right? Is the amount of output is not matching what the input is, right? So we could let's take it to like a business sense. If I put $10 in here, but I expect this $10 to earn me $30. Is it earning me $30, or is it taking me into the negative to a negative 30? If it's taking me to a negative 30, then we know there's an issue with the efficiency in what we're doing, and the issue with the production. And so we're going to have to revisit and reallocate funds. We're going to have to identify, get operating like look at the risk management, look at the cost, risk, reward, and so forth. If you want to kind of get in that type of mindset, okay. So, but applying to our relationships, it's the same thing. And it's not time to be anal, look at our relationships, but it's really look at, some of y'all know I did an audio drop talking about the law of life, and I was talking about relationships. And when we look at our relationships, do we have people that are fly by night people? Do we have people that are like atmosphere? Like we watch a movie and we don't know who the actors are in the scenes, but they're just atmosphere. Do we have a lot of atmosphere people that's really not really connected to you? They're just holding, they're just operating in space. Or do you have people, like when you think about a tree, that are very rooted? And do we have people that are people that you nourish their roots and they nourish your roots? Because that's going to become very important during the month of November, is because especially if there's adjustments that are required for you in reference to your structure, in reference to your foundation in different areas in your life, you might need to get stimulated from people that are really rocking with you. People, in other words, the root people. But if you got more atmospheric and air people and feeling space people really around you, you know, it's going to feel very awkward this month, because it's really requiring us to make sure what we have going on is serving in a state of usefulness. Some of us have vain activities going on. So a lot of times we're just caught up in a lot of activities. Some of us are overstacked our schedules. And this is not the time of the year where our schedules and our focus should be highly splintered. It shouldn't be split all over the place. We really should be trying to focus on minimizing, dialing back. In other words, getting very efficient, so that way we can move with more precision. And so that's one of the soul elements in this month that is definitely strong and resonate when it enters into the concentration house, is the metal and also the earth wood. The earth wood is really pointing to routines, sustainability, and the metal infrastructure, sustainability, precision. So you think there's a common underlining theme that's going on in November, is to make sure that the things need to be consistent in our lives, to be consistent, and to protect the consistency, right? To make sure it's consistent, make sure we're feeding the consistency, making sure we're strengthening the environment to allow those things that's going well in our lives to make sure they're still intact. So I'm gonna say that again. So the things that are going well intact in our lives, the question you need to ask yourself is, do I have the environment? Do I have the necessary relationships? Do I have the necessary resources to keep it strong, to keep it going, to keep it sustainable? And so that's what the earthwood aspect of the month is really prompting us to look at. If not, it's going to have us what? Reevaluate. And so you got areas that's just not clicking like it needs to. You're going to be reevaluated. And some of you know the book I released that's been fairly popular for this year is the Law of Redundancy. So we know in September the Law of Redundancy kicked in very strong, and this month in November the Law of Redundancy will kick in very strong as well. So whatever cycles and loops you got going on in your life that's not matching the output or not matching what needs to be happening well for you consistently, the law of redundancy is there to kind of get you to look at it and invite you to try to reroute it, to address it, to change it, to know where to make it more efficient. Remember, I said the key word for this month is efficiency. It's all about trying to keep everything efficient, keep everything very consistent, to make proper usage of energy, the relationship that we have. And it's not just a one-sided streak. It's a dual effect in that. And so that's kind of where we're going on. So a lot of times we can get caught ourselves in overstacking, overburdening ourselves. And this is the month, November is really inviting us to lessen those burdens. Get out of trying to overstack. You don't have to make yourself look busy all the time. This is not the time to be fully busy. We're in fall. Fall back. All right. Dial back, scale down your focuses. Okay. And focus on the things that are relevant, right? Don't get caught up in the things that are irrelevant. And so your things you're more irrelevant that you're focusing on and is outweighing the relevant piece, you're going to pull yourself into inefficiencies. If you feel like you're being pulled all over the place right now, if like your focus and your attention is being split, that's an indicator for you. You know what? Push the pause button and scale down and slow down and simplify those things in that particular area in your life, or recognize what needs to get simplified. So if we got too much chaos or too much complications and it's outweighing what needs to happen, that's a redundancy that needs to be addressed. And if you don't address it, it'll become what we call a karmic redundancy, which means it becomes set, locked into your habits and your patterns. And now you just activated certain loops, or you maintain or you're sustaining these loops that will continue to go on. You can't avoid it away. You can't sit there and do certain, you're going to have to address it. You're going to address the cycle. And one of the things you do, the first thing you do to address the cycle is look at the inputs and the environments associated with that cycle. Change the input, change the environment, then eventually in time, you can neutralize it and you can switch the cycle and get a different output. And that's what November is really about. That's what it's calling us to really to do, is to look at that. Okay. And so it's really looking at, setting order. So are you setting, is pattern setting too, for coming November. It's really about setting the right patterns, or if you already have the right patterns in place, to protect those patterns, strengthen them, and fuel those patterns, because it's the patterns that's associated with the cycles that's allowing things to stay consistent in your life. So November is about looking at what is consistent, what you want to continue to happen, and making sure that those patterns are protected. Okay. And so that's what this month is really calling us to do. Now, what's interesting, if we got too much stuff going on, when the law of redundancy kicks in, it has a unique way when you are oversaturated with a whole bunch of busyness. All of a sudden, it might start trying to scale your time. Why will it do that? Well, it'll scale your time because think about it. If I have less time to get something done, indirectly it'll force me to focus on what really matters inside that small window of time. So if I got a lot of window of time, a lot of times I might be procrastinating. I'll take my time to identify the things that are inefficient. But what's going to happen is the things you're ignoring is going to get more pressure around that, and you're like, I need to get this done. There's a sense of urgency, what I'm getting at, that's going to prompt you to address certain things, and you're going to feel, I need to get this done. This is just plaguing me. This is getting on my damn nerves, and I'm not getting anywhere. That feeling is letting you realize that, the energy in November is full-fledged. The soul conservator is operating and is trying to get you to look at the things that the efficient routines and making sure you have an efficient infrastructure, your foundation. And because a lot of times we think about our foundation, we think is stationary. When we talk about from an energetic aspect, we're talking about the energetic foundation, energetic layers that is continually active behind all your movements. It's what allows you to get things done, move things done, to evaluate things that's not working in the picture that you really want to see for yourself, or in the picture for things you're responsible for. Okay, and so this is a very it's a very practical month, but it's very feminist. It's this February. I'm sorry, not February. I'm sorry. November is moved by a very feminine, dominant type of energy. So it's not going to be really all in your face. It's really focused on trying to get us to take a rooted position in the cycles that are working for us, but exercise a level of dominance. In other words, assert ourselves to create the cycles, to protect the cycles, to identify the cycles, and make sure that everything that's being circular is moving in a circular motion to our productivity. In other words, so it's look at like, do I have more counterproductive cycles going on in my life versus the productive cycles? If so, the law of redundancy, right? The law of efficiency is making us draw our attention to it. So it's going to be a lot about that going on November energetically. Um, so again, how do we know? Well, we look at the principal part of it that's aligned with the principal rhythm is going on. So things either to expand or to contract, they're trying to conserve energy. So there's a lot really going on. So again, if y'all are interested to kind of look and understand more about the law of redundancy and to get more details, get my book, Law of Redundancy. You can go over to Patreon. Um, there's a link in the description. Hit the Patreon, go to the shop, and scroll and go to and get the Law of Redundancy. And I thank you in advance for that. It is a very insightful book. It's a life guiding book for you. It's a quick read, short read, download it, but it's going to benefit you and suit you, because if we fail to have the skill and the ability to identify the redundancies, we'll find ourselves in a stalemate. We'll put our lives in a stalemate, okay? Or we'll be in a state of stagnation. So it's almost like playing chess, right? It's like we're checkmate. I any move that I make, I'm done. And so we don't want to get to the point in our lives where we're constantly ignoring the redundancy indicators or the inefficient prompts that we know that's happening in our lives, to the point where it puts in a space of stagnation where it's just, there's no movement. There just the energy that's available for us is not even available anymore for us to change it. And or it's a stalemate. I can't if I make a move here, I'm done. I'll make a move, I'm done right here. So it's really about being proactive, identifying these things so that way we are moving more in a efficient, productive flow. And so that's what the month of November is really about, this year, and especially because the number, the two takes a position up under the concentration house. So our level of focus is coming right there. So there is a little bit of imbalance in gravity there, but the imbalance in gravity is going to come from unsound relationships that are not sound, relationships that are they're just, they don't move to your optimization, they don't move towards your efficiency. And then the same thing, and you don't bring the right things to the relationship. So let's talk about that. You're not bringing optimization to relationships or into environments. You're not able to bring a life or bring a level of sustainment that might need or might be able to help people troubleshoot and get into a productive cycle. If you're not able to do that, right, there's going to be um, some energetic challenges and frictions. All right. So that's what's up. So it's really that time to, really evaluate, look at that, make sure you're efficient, make sure you're identifying things that's not useful and eliminate it. It's really about, it's like, this is a shedding. The energy is making us to shed. You know how we look at our, I remember years ago, I used to have like a dog was a Samoyed. It was like a Alaskan dog, was all white. And, and it would just shed. And that's where we're at right now. We're in a shedding. We need to shed all the additional hair that we don't need. We need to share all the additional weight that we don't need. And that's what needs to happen. All right. And so it's really about being efficient. It's like, I need to drop some weight, right? I need to um, reprioritize things. I need to do that because I need to be efficient, right? And if it's not efficient, then I could find myself working against myself. And that's not what we want to do. So the energy this month is prompting us to make sure we're not working against ourselves. All right. So we're going to hop over here. Let me see if I got any comments. And if not, we'll pop off of here. So again, this will be um, available here on YouTube for a little bit, but then I will move it over into the Patreon. Okay. And so again, you can check in and join our Patreon, where I definitely have a lot of different things. We invite you to the Soul Vibe membership, or join us in the Audio Soul Sanctuary. Or if you want to know more about the Living Soul Numerology system and learn about the Living Soul Numerology, the soul-based guidance system, join our Living Soul Discovery, and you kind of start getting training and get, um, additional insights on how to work this, system for you to help guide you in what you need to do. So I want to appreciate everyone. People's been grabbing up our weekly personalized energy weekly dashboard to kind of see what it's like, a weather report for the week. So it's like a soul energy report to kind of see what the energy is going to be like for the week in reference to us personally. So that's $3.99 a week. I will have my Linktree link in there, so that way y'all can go ahead and get that and start getting that regularly. Sunday we'll be meeting in our collective to kind of go over the energy for the week and to look at that. So again, if you want to kind of tap in and plug in into some of these understandings as a reference to help you just move in a very more fluid way in your life, tap in, join us on Patreon, also join my email network as well too. And that link will be available too, so that we can tap in. But hey, appreciate everybody hopping on. And that's what's up. So that's the energy to kind of look forward to coming in November based off the Living Soul Numerology system. All right, that's what's up. One love.